Hello everybody and welcome to Bison Central, the video preview for the Weber State game as the North Dakota State University football team travels to Ogden, Utah to take on the Wildcats of the Big Sky, and Mike McFeely here with me. Mike, what can we say about this game? You were doing a little research on the team last year.
Yeah.
What was the point total they gave up in the first two games?
Let's talk about the Montana game in a couple of weeks, the Fargo, because North Dakota State the next couple of weeks has Weber State, which lost games to the tune of 70-7 last year and 43-6 and 51. It was just they're a terrible Big Sky football team, or were at least that last year. And then next week, of course, is Incarnate Word coming to the Fargo Dome for the Bison's home opener. And so I think it's fair to say that everybody's focus who follows the Bison football team or who cheers for the Bison football team is in a couple of weeks against Montana. I don't think anybody's thinking about Weber State right now.
No.
I think everybody believes it's going to be a 4-touchdown game and the Bison will move on.
Yeah, it'd be shocked if it was less than 4 or 3 touchdowns. So the question becomes for me, what are we paying attention to then? As Bison fans, as we watch this game, as we listen to the game on KFGO, what are we paying attention to? What are we looking for?
I think it's a lot of the same things we were looking for the first week against Iowa State, right? I mean, the questions then were the offensive line and the defensive line, and so you look for continued growth there and continue to build depth, even though I think they rolled in 7 guys in the offensive line, which continues to be impressive that they just keep rolling along. Maybe also, if we get to this point, and I don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback. We know Carson Wentz is going to start.
Right.
And again, unless something really odd happens, NDSU is going to roll. But then at what point do you start to look not down the road for a starting quarterback in the future, but to start to build depth at quarterback? Because I had a chance to talk with offensive coordinator Tim Polasek earlier this week, Pinto.
Right.
And one of the questions I asked him was, are you going to be as free with Carson Wentz running the football as you were with Brock Jensen, with the called draws and the called off-tackle plays with the quarterback and those types of things? And he said, well, we did run some against Iowa State, probably 4 or 5 called plays for Carson Wentz to run. There's a couple, I think 3 scrambles, he said. So he said it probably totaled 7 to 8 plays that Carson Wentz ran the football. But he said, moving on down the road, we can't be as free with Carson Wentz running because we don't feel we have the depth at quarterback that we had when Carson was backing up Brock Jensen. Polasek said, when we had Brock Jensen playing quarterback, we felt completely comfortable running him.
Right.
Because we had Carson Wentz in the wings, and they thought that they were not going to drop off all that much, if at all, if Carson came in the game, which can take a couple of different ways, as they often do. But I think that's one area to look is, okay, if they get ahead 40-3 in the second half, then do you see McGinnis, do you see somebody else come in the football game just to get some reps, get some snaps?
Right. Cole Davis is another guy, and I know they talked about that, at least Coach Kleiman did, before the Iowa State game. You know, who's the backup? We're still deciding. Was kind of the topic there. They're not entirely sure. And so with Carson Wentz, you're not going to see, like you said, a lot of running plays, so maybe developing that depth there. I think another place that I'm looking for, Mike, is depth at safety, because you saw it against Iowa State. Both Christian Dudzik and Colton Hegel went out. Now, it was a stinger.
Same play, by the way.
Right, same play. It was a stinger for Hegel, and it was the wind knocked out for Dudzik. They were fine. But then the question becomes, well, who's behind him? You know, in the secondary, because those 2 guys are so important to this defense and the success, as are the linebackers. But the guys behind the linebackers, you kind of have a little bit of security with. Nick DeLuca and Pierre G. Tucker and guys like that. But the backup safeties, Andrew Smith and Chris Board, we don't know much about them. So when these games come along and you look at them and go, it's probably going to be a blowout, you want to look for how these other players get in there and play some snaps and see how they adapt to the game.
And the next 2 weeks should be that thing for North Dakota State, is able to get some guys in the game in the second half, be able to build some depth. And so it's all good. I think that so many questions were sort of just blown out of the water last week against Iowa State. I think all of us that follow the team and cover the team were wondering, okay, what exactly is going to be on the table in 2014? And by about the middle of the third quarter, we're all going, oh, okay, it's the same old thing. They're just going to pound the snot out of the other team's defensive line. Is that a football term? Pound the snot out? I think it is. It's a real slobber knocker. But we saw the same thing. We saw him establish the run. We saw him get John Crockett going. Chase Morlock had the big run. It's kind of same old, same old. So now we're kind of moving on to the questions about building depth and what do we learn against Weber State and Incarnate Word. One thing I always like watching when it comes to football with a good football team, knowing they have some bigger games coming up down the road, is let's see if they pull out a couple of different plays.
And try them.
Brent Vegan and Craig Bohl were known for that. It was kind of the funny thing in the press box was all of a sudden they'd run some goofy play and you'd go, oh boy, they just put that on film so Northern Iowa has to spend 20 minutes in practice one day working to stop that play. And I like watching those kind of things in blowout games to see, okay, oh, that was a different little scheme there that they tried just to mess things up for down the road when Northern Iowa or Montana or whomever gets the game tape.
And you think they did sometimes use those gimmicky plays, if you will, those trick plays? South Dakota State, for instance, they hid Ryan Smith behind the offensive line. That's a great point in case they do something like that. But as this game gets ready to get underway, coming up to Saturday, I think the question would be, how much does NDSU win by? And before kickoff, a lot of fans are going to be going, all right, what is it going to be, 3 touchdowns? Is it going to be 4? I know you like to say it's going to be whatever NDSU wants to, whatever they want to give up.
That's my go-to cliche is it's going to be whatever they want to do. And Craig Bohl, his history was kind of, pull things back a little bit. And I think the same would be for Coach Klein. We don't know because he hasn't been in this position before, but I would assume it's going to be the same thing. Who knows? I'd be shocked if it's closer than 3 touchdowns. Weber State 2-10 last year and just a bad football team.
Right. New coach now for them as well.
And I think the new coach, from what I've been able to read, is I think he's trying to do the same thing that Bubba Schweiger's trying to do in Grand Forks at UND. Is maybe get away from we have to score 75 points to win and maybe try to get some more physical football, some defensive-minded football in Ogden, Utah. Good luck. It's not going to happen this weekend.
No.
But we'll see what turns out. One more thing. We got to go. I got to run here. I got to go catch a plane, actually. I'll be in Ogden, Utah.
Okay.
Friday and Saturday, reporting from the Bison game. And so check things out, not only on the Mighty 790 KFGO, but also our website, kfgo.com, and Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
It'll be fun. It'll be good. I'm just going to throw out a score just to see where it lands. I'm going to say 45-7.
Yeah,
NDSU.
Sure, 48-7.
He'll take it.
I'll give us another field goal.
For Mike McFeely, I'm Daniel Gunderson for the KFGO.com Bison Central video preview, NDSU versus Weber State.
By the way, one more thing. We're not done yet.
Oh, we got one more thing here.
I watched last week's video, and you should call me Blinky.
You blink a lot.
Oh, I blink a lot. I must have eye problems or something that I don't really notice. So my nickname on these videos is Blinky. Blinky McFeely.
Blinky McFeely.
Daniel Gunderson. Checking out. Checking off. Signing off. See ya.
We're going to just cut them off. We'll see you later.